plaintiff, Brannigan Wallace, says she started smoking pot at the age of 9. And by the age of 12, she was having LSD parties. Brannigan claims she was a full-blown crack addict by the age of 21 and even prostituted to support her habit. Brannigan says she was friends with the defendant, but Brannigan's suing her today for a loan. Defendant Laura Harbin and her brother Robert say Laura started using marijuana when she was 9 years old, and ultimately she too became addicted to crack. Robert claims just a year or two ago, Brannigan introduced him and Laura to heroin and other hardcore drugs. And Laura insists she was high when she agreed to repay Brannigan.
Start with you.
Judge, for as long as I can remember, my life has been nothing but chaos and craziness. I started doing drugs at the age of 9.
What type of drugs?
I started with pot, but within a year, my mom and my stepdad divorced, and she took it really hard. She basically had a nervous breakdown, and she started to provide me with drugs. She started to give me Xanax, Lortab, alcohol. And I feel like it was because she didn't want to deal with me. So she kept me in a state of inebriation, basically, so she could go off in her own room and do what she does.
At what age did your mother begin giving you drugs?
When I was 10. And by the time I was 12, I'm drinking. We're having LSD parties at the house constantly, pills. By the time I'm 15, well, even before that, she took me on the Jenny Jones show when I was 14 for out-of-control teenagers. And basically, I went out there and did what all the out-of-control teenagers do, you know, this and that, you know, all the cussing and,
Okay, so later in life, what happened? I mean, how long did this drug life last that started at 9?
The first time I got clean was when I was 15 and I found out I was pregnant with my oldest daughter, who's now 14. I was able between the ages of 15 and 19 to stay sober. I had my first daughter and my second daughter.
How were you able to get clean at 15 after a life of drugs?
When I found out I was pregnant, there was just, I don't know if it was something, a motherly instinct or something inside me. I stopped doing everything the day I found out I was pregnant.
And you started back when you were 19?
Yes, sir. After 4 years of sobriety and children, something inside me decided that I was going to go relive my teenage years that I had missed.
What did you start using first?
I started back with alcohol and marijuana again, but by the time I was 21, I was a full-blown crack addict. It went so far as prostitution.
You didn't know how to just stop it. Weed?
No. Everything I've ever done in my life, I've done full force. I am not one of those folks who can do any kind of substance.
Okay.
Because I do not know when to stop. I don't know how to stop myself.
So how long did that
lasted for 6 years.
Your crack habit?
Crack habit. Prostitution, stealing, robbery, and that's when I got arrested for robbery. We robbed a gas station. And within 6 months, I actually caught another felony charge of manufacturing methamphetamine. And I was put on probation. I was put into the local drug court in my city. And they were finally, after about 8 months.
Did it work?
It did. Now, the first almost year, I spent pretty much banging my head against the wall trying to figure out how can I pass these drug tests, how can I still get high, get around it, and all that. And I finally figured out that I couldn't when my PO sat me down and said, look, this is your last chance. We're done with you. If you screw up one more time, 10 years, prison, you're gone.
You haven't been back?
I have. When I graduated the drug court, I was in there for 3 years. When I graduated the drug court, I relapsed for about a month.
Okay.
But
ultimately, that drug court worked.
Yes,
you believe.
It did work. And
good. You're a good
pretty
example.
Much besides that month, I've been sober.
Good. You're a good example. You're a good example of good judges. And that is judges who just don't lock folks away for drug problems and cost taxpayers all this money to keep you in jail for drugs for a year or two, and then you come back out and you're back on drugs, you're committing more robberies, you go back in, you come back out, you go back in, they don't give you treatment, you just come back out, they don't give you treatment in the prison or jail.
No, not in the jail.
Right, but the drug courts are to do just what they did, give you outpatient treatment.
Yes, sir.
You didn't have to stay in jail.
Right.
All
Now,
right, so
I did
just
do
wanna
2
make that-
inpatient rehabilitations
Okay,
through the
I
drug
just want to
court.
make that point, that rehabilitation is better than incarceration for drug addicts. Let me hear your background. Then we're going to get to the breach of contract she's suing you for.
My story is very similar. I started using drugs at 9 also.
What type of drugs were you using?
It started out as marijuana and then
What years was this? In my day, we were 9, we started out sniffing glue or sniffing lighter fluid. You all starting out. Go ahead. How did you get a hold of marijuana at age 9?
well actually it was on my 9th birthday. It was my mother that
Yeah, she got a Barbie doll and a bag of weed.
actually I was still playing with Barbie dolls.
And what type of life did that lead you to? Same type of life?
Horrible, yeah. I've been fighting it ever since and
On and off drugs?
yeah, I've been clean for 6 months now.
Good.
and
All
did it
right,
on
so
my
I hope
own.
you're able to stay strong. Did you ever go through a drug court?
No, I've been to drug
You ever been to
rehab.
jail?
Not for drugs, no.
You ultimately got on crack?
Yes.
Okay. What do you have to say, sir?
I'm Robert Harbin. I'm her brother. I just wanted to add, it wasn't just her mother that introduced her to drugs or something like that. Brandy is one of my best friends of all time, and when they met, through me, Brandy had introduced both of us to some serious, hardcore, high-end drugs like heroin
How old?
and things like that. Just
that is
a year
so
or two
not
ago.
true.
A year or two ago.
Yeah,
When-
and she's not the innocent party that she says. It's not just my
So
mom.
she
that's
was
introduced her
using
to-
heroin as of a
friends.
year or two ago. Mm-hmm. That's
Just-
not true?
I admitted to relapsing
Right,
after
you
I
did.
graduated from
But
the drug
I'm
court.
saying that I myself, I'm a man, I can do it. But then when it got to doing drugs with my little
But
sister
that
and
is
stuff like
completely
that, it just
untrue
started.
about me introducing
I'm
them
saying
to any
crack and
hardcore
everything
drugs,
else.
Your
It
Honor.
just kind of got to me a lot.
My story is very similar. I started using drugs at 9 also.
What type of drugs were you using?
It started out as marijuana and then
What years was this? In my day, we were 9, we started out sniffing glue. Or
Plaintiff Brannigan Wallace is suing her former friend, who claims just a year or two ago, Brannigan introduced her and her brother to heroin.
All right, let's get to the breach of contract you're suing them for, or her.
Well, as he stated, we were friends first, me and her brother. And about a year later is when I met Laura.
What year? How old were you all?
I
when
was
you
about
met?
22 when I met her, about 21 when I met him, right around the time I
Good enough.
started to use crack, which
All right.
is why I was kind of surprised by him trying to say I introduced them because they're, as you know, they're much older than me, 10 and 20.
Got it. You all been crackheads since you're 22. Got
Yeah.
it. All right. So
Right.
go ahead.
But yeah, surprisingly, me and Lori were able
But
to
you're in
become very
recovery,
close.
so you're recovering drug addicts.
Yes, we are.
I only call folks crackheads when they appear to still be so. So I'm gonna give you all a break. You're recovering drug addicts,
Thank
all
you,
right?
sir.
Now, if you start using again and you come back in here, I'm gonna call you a crackhead.
And I would say I would very
All
much
right,
deserve
go
it.
ahead. So, where you all from? Some big city?
Louisville, Kentucky.
Okay.
And it's not the small, a lot of people hear Kentucky and think small, Hicktown. No,
Mm-hmm.
downtown Louisville's not much different from downtown Chicago.
Full of dope.
No. And it's everywhere out there. It is everywhere. Right now, we're having a big problem with heroin. Our heroin overdoses have went up 600% in the past 2 years. Yeah. So I read about it. They have a thing in the paper almost every Sunday about heroin and the things they're trying to do to get people off.
Drugs hurt every community. All right, breach of contract.
Yes, sir. Like I said, after years of friendship, and like I said, we went through the drugs together, and I got clean, and they had got clean too. I even at one point stayed with Laura and her ex-boyfriend for a while when I was having a hard time. Well, come around tax time of 2014, I had gotten back around $2,600 on my taxes from where I'd worked the year before when I was clean. And I was living with my grandma at the time. I was helping her out, and plus, it was also helping me out save money and things. So Laura came to me, she was living with Robert, and they were having some, I don't want to call it domestic problems because they're not a couple, but it is domestic because they're related. And she came to me and asked me if I could loan her $2,500 to move out of Robert's house. He was losing his house, and they were not getting along. At the time, she had said, I will pay you back $150 a month out of my disability check. I didn't need this huge amount of money at the time. I already had a car, I already had a place to live. I didn't need to make any large purchases anytime soon. And Laura was my friend, and so was Robert, and I felt like I was helping both of them out. But she was ultimately the one that agreed to pay me back. So I did loan her the money.
So you're suing for $2,400.
Yeah.
Obviously, she has paid $100.
She agreed to pay me $150
But so far, she has paid $100.
She made the first payment. She was supposed to pay me on the first of every month.
Okay, I'm all right. Yeah, Ma'am, she said she loaned you $2,500 and you've only paid her $100. What's your defense?
My defense is I had all intentions of paying her, and like I said, I was real hardcore into drugs at the time, and truth be told, that's what it went on. And
so you admit that you owe. Is that right or not?
yes,
All right, so you admit that you owe. The question is there a legal defense that you have to not paying?
yes.
Sir, do you owe?
I don't know.
All right, well then put your hand down. What is your legal defense?
Yes. I was just really high at the time.
Okay.
I was like, just really didn't remember like ever agreeing to pay her back. I felt like when she lived with me, I helped her out a lot. And I just felt like it was kind of like an even thing, and I feel like we're pretty much even on everything.
I do have a promissory note that she signed.
Let's see it. If you believe you were even, why did you pay her $100 back?
Because like at the time, in that time period, we were like, changing words and getting at each other, and I just felt like, if
You give her
he
that
thought
100, it'll stop.
right.
All right. Well, sounds like she's still mad. We're recovering drug addicts.
Yes, we
I
are.
only call folks crackheads when they appear to still be so. So I'm gonna give you all a break. You're recovering drug addicts,
Thank you,
all right?
sir.
Now, if you start using again and you come back in here, I'm gonna call you a crackhead.
Plaintiff Brannigan Wallace is suing her former friend, who claims just a year or two ago, Brannigan introduced her and her brother to heroin.
So I'm gonna grant her judgment based on this agreement. I hope we're all gonna remain sober, particularly you, ma'am. That's 6 months. You got a little ways to go. So how long has it been for you?
Well, I graduated drug court, relapsed for about a month. It's been 2012.
All right, have a good day. Judging for the plaintiff.
I hope you get this together because I love both of you guys. I really do. I love you guys to death. But I just hope you guys can straighten up and keep it together this time because it really is better. It's the best way to go. So I love you guys. I really do. But
I miss you.
I do. I miss you guys too. And hopefully after this, maybe when we go home, we can sit down and talk about it and we can resolve it now. But right now, I'm still a little. So have a good life.
You too.